Hi everyone, today we are going to discuss the modern international trade theories. In the last lecture, we discussed about the classical country based theories. So, if you have not watched that lecture, kindly watch it so that you can understand this better. And also, don't forget to subscribe the channel so that you can get all the timely videos regarding your NET GRF preparation. Now let us start. Now let us first understand the meaning of international trade. See, whenever goods and services are exchanged beyond the national boundaries of the country for the purpose of trade and eventual economic development of the country, so it is said that they are or the countries are engaging themselves in international trade. So it's very simple. Whenever we are exchanging goods and services beyond the national boundaries of a country, we are supposed to be engaging ourselves in international trade. So it results in many advantages. We all know whenever trade takes place, there there comes the employment opportunities, transfer of culture happens, technological transfer, which is the most important thing, due to which we are able to use the most updated technologies nowadays, right? So this also happens, right? So international trade is very important for the growth of the world economy, right? Now let us discuss the first theory, modern theory, which is country similarity theory. So this theory was propounded by Swedish economist Stephen Linder in 1961, okay, wherein he explained the concept of intra-industry trade. So what according to him, the countries which are in similar stages of development, okay, have common needs and therefore trade can take place easily. So he basically talked about trade taking place between the countries who are in the same stage of development, okay, and it is very easy for these countries to trade among themselves, but the condition is that these countries should first produce for themselves, then only they can export the goods, okay. So for example, if India and Sri Lanka are developing economies, then they will have same preferences, be it the ways of traveling, eating at affordable prices, etc, and therefore trade can take place due to these common needs. Very simple. Two countries which are developing will obviously have same preferences, okay, because they are at the same stage of development, right? So hope country similarity theory is clear to you, right? Now the other one is the product life cycle theory. So, see, this theory was basically proposed by Raymond Vernon in 1960s. Okay, so according to him, there are three stages in the life of a product. Like we human go through certain stages in our life, a product also goes through three stages according to him. So the first stage is new product stage. See, at this stage, the product is produced and consumed in the same country. That is, no export occurs, okay. The product is innovated in a country and there only that product is produced and consumed eventually. But when we talk about the maturity stage, at this stage mass production techniques are developed and foreign demand in developed countries expands, that is exports takes place, right? So here the difference is that mass production is happening and even the export is taking place predominantly to the developed countries, right? Now when we talk about the last stage, which is standardized product, here what happens is the product moves to the developing countries, okay, which then export the product to the developed countries. Now the difference is here the product or the production is happening in the developing countries. Now the developed countries are exporting or importing rather from the developing countries. Okay, so basically this theory says that initially a product is produced in the country of its innovation or origin, and then slowly its production moves to the country of its export. Very right. Now the other theory is global strategic rivalry theory. So this theory was given by Paul Krugman and Kevin Lancaster. So remember the name of these two economists because this can be asked in the exam, that who gave the global strategic rivalry theory. So according to this theory, the companies, in order to gain competitive advantage globally, put certain barriers to entry for new firms, right? So in order to gain certain advantage, barriers of entries are taken place, are basically put in front of the new entrant firms. Okay, so these barriers can be in the form of economies of scale. Either you produce the goods at the lowest average cost. Okay, if your average cost is lowest, then it is very difficult for the new firms to enter into that market. Then research and development activities, one can always have an upper hand if they are good at research. Because what is research? Research is finding something new, okay, keeping in pace with the changes that are taking place around us. So research and development is something through which a company can put barriers in front of other firms. Then the ownership of intellectual property rights. See, intellectual property rights are certain rights which give you an upper advantage over the other competitors because they are your own. Okay, nobody can use them without your permission, right? So this can also be an advantage. And unique business processes and methods, if you have certain business processes which are very unique, it is very hard for others to make the same techniques or same processes, right, methods for that matter. So this will basically become a kind of barrier to entry of new firms in that market. So this was all about global strategic rivalry theory, wherein the existing companies, in order to gain competitive advantage, put barriers by following certain activities on the new firms, right? Now, the last theory is Porter's national competitive advantage theory. So, this theory was basically given by Sir Michael Porter, and he is basically a HBS professor, that is Harvard Business School. Now, this theory is also known as diamond theory. So, this is very important. This theory is also known as diamond theory. So, according to him, there are certain factors which give national competitive advantage to certain products. These are the local demand in that country. Very right. So, if the demand in that country is very high, so then this can be a competitive advantage for that particular firm. So local firms characteristics like the firm strategy, industrial structure, right? So what are the firm's characteristics, like what are the basically strategies followed by that firm, how is the industrial structure in that country. Okay, so these are the factors which can give you competitive advantage. Then local market resources, like how much land do you have, how much labor is there in that country, how much capital is available, and what is the rate, okay, quantity and the rate at which it is available. So this can also give the benefit of competitive advantage, right? Then local supplies like electricity, water, connectivity, okay, how well is the infrastructure in the country, like it includes electricity, water, your connectivity, transportation facilities. Okay, so these all things are very important. So this theory, hope, is clear to you all. It talks basically about the various factors which can give national competitive exam advantage to a particular firm. Okay, so when we talk about German cars, so all these factors are there in that country. That's why these countries are so good in luxury cars. Basically, I'm talking about Germany, right? So this was all for today. Hope all the modern theories are clear to you. So if you like this video, please subscribe it and also share with your friends. And if you have any question, you can put down in the comment box below. So this was all for today.